it's the spit, and then it's the cry after the stop loss hits.
Yep.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Hot Trades with Rob and Blaze. As you guys know, we've been trying to do these shorter videos just for educational purposes. Like I mentioned on the last video, it's hard to, for someone to maybe go back and watch a 7 hour video and get that 5 minute, that 10 minute, piece of information that they might need. So we've been listening to you guys, and you guys have presented us with a topic, and that video might have given it away. But on this video, we will be talking about how to set stop losses. Alrighty, so what Rob and I will do is we will break this into three separate parts: how to set a stop loss on an investment, how to set a stop loss on a swing play, and how to set a stop loss on a momentum play, a day trade. Alrighty, again, if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to smash a like, hit that subscribe, and all the other things. And if you have a topic as well that you would like us to cover, leave it in the comments, please and thank you. Rob, anything to add before we dive into this topic?
No, I think let's dive right in. I think the first thing we should talk about is that if you're putting a stop loss, that means you have a plan.
Yep.
So we should have a plan a plan for your trade when you're going to get into even an investment.
Hmm.
Have a plan for a swing trade and have a plan for your momentum play. So I think the first thing that's key here and that everyone should write down is that stop loss should be part of your plan. So
Yep.
before you get in a trade, you have your plan where your targets, your profit targets, if you have any, by percentages or whatever, and also your stop loss, which is what we're going to talk about today. So,
Yeah. And that brings up a really good point, Rob. This question comes up a lot on stream. Someone gets into a stock at $7 and the stock is at $2, and then they're like, Blaze, what do you think I should do? And I'm so frazzled. I'm so confused, because in my mind, you should have that plan. As you're getting into a position, whether it's a swing, a momentum, a long-term play, you want to know exactly what you want to do, right? Because if you're asking me on a stream after the stock has crashed 50%, I don't know what to tell you. Because what if Rob says, hey, sell this stock at minus 50%, and then immediately it shoots up back to break even? Then
mhm.
now becomes a problem for us, right? Because we kind of told you to, right? So, like Rob said, again, planning is very, very important, right? Again, whether you're going into an investment, a swing, a day trade, it really doesn't matter. You should kind of know what the entire plan is for the most part, before taking that position. Alrighty. So first segment is how to set a stop loss on an investment. This one's a bit more complicated because again, when you're setting a stop loss on an investment, it's you have to again it's you have to manage this one in a different way because sometimes when you look at investments, right, you look at a company like a Tesla, like a Microsoft, like an Apple, right? You might be getting into positions because you like the company long term, and the best thing to do is in some cases with plays like this is to dollar cost average, right? So there might be cases where you don't necessarily have a stop loss because the plan is you're hoping to add positions. I'm going to buy 25% at this price. If it drops, I'm going to add another 25%, and then I'm going to add another 25%, and then I'm going to add another 25%, and then your average is somewhere in the middle, right? So you have to think about stuff like that. And that's why I'm saying, again, when it comes to investments, it's a bit more complicated, right? So when you're getting into an investment, you have to make sure you do the research. That's number one, right? Why are you buying the play? Right? Is it because you like the future of the company? Is it because you think from a technical point of view it's oversold, right? You have to understand your reasoning for getting into that play, right? Because if that reason goes away, if the company is no longer profitable, if it's breaking below support, then you have to maybe say, you know what, I got in because of this. I now need to get rid of that position, right? So when it comes to investments, it's a bit more complicated. So you have to really like focus on the research and the overall picture, right? You're looking at bigger time frames at this point. Alrighty. So again, whether you're dollar cost averaging, right? So if you're dollar cost averaging in a larger play, maybe then you don't need that stop loss immediately because you want it to sell off anyways. But again, if you're looking at something like a Tesla and you can say, oh, maybe this one is sitting at a long-term support, it's a double bottom on a monthly chart, on a weekly chart. If this thing is sitting at a major support level and you buy that thing at that level, then okay, say, you know what, it's sitting at this level, so then I'm just going to set my stop loss below. Alrighty. And then we will kind of, on the next segment, we will talk about how to manage a swing play. Because then at this point, when you're in it and it's going up, it potentially becomes a swing play, right? Unless, again, you feel otherwise. That's how I would manage a long term investment. Alrighty. Rob, how would you?
No, I think you mentioned. I think you hit it on the spot there, especially because you're talking about. So I always have the thought that that I always have the thought of retail traders versus what these professional traders are doing, right? And they're doing exactly that, what you just mentioned, Blaze. And I think that's what we have to continue to teach and show, is to teach everyone how to even invest like the big guys do. You see what I'm saying? And they look at fundamentals
Yep.
above all things. What is the company doing? Are they profitable? Are they not? You mentioned that. That was key.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
one thing. Are they profitable? Is something changing? Was there a shift in the business now? Now you could start set, like you said, maybe your dollar cost averaging up, but in this time you say, wait a minute, now maybe let me set this limit because this could drop at any moment, and I want to take at least, I'm 20% up, I'm 30% up from my cost basis. I'll leave it there. If it goes down because of some news, then at least I finished in profit, and I see what I'm gonna do now. Regroup, move that money over somewhere else, or wait for another drop because I still believe in the company, right? So I think it goes back to like what we said: have a plan, um, have that foundation, so that you see. I'm hoping that when people see this, it's not that simple. We're not just saying put it here and then put it right at support, like you said, or right below. You see what I'm saying? Where it
Yeah.
takes it a bit further, and I think that's the key there. That they
Mhm.
understand that what you just mentioned there is great, is
Mhm.
that we're getting, if you're getting a, like we should buy at the bottom, right? So if you're buying at a major support or demand zone that continues to find support in that demand zone, then that's a great area to get in, because then definitely there you can say, okay, I don't want to go below this because it hasn't been below this in years, let's say, or months.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be my number one stop loss for now for my entry. But now I continue to either dollar cost average in until I find until and I leave it there for a long term. Now it goes back to our plan. I don't believe. I mean, when I first started investing, they teach us that we go in, we put money in like a 401k, we keep putting in, we keep putting in. The market goes up, and it was just like the video, we see it going up, and then blam, it crashes, and we just stay in it. So we're watching our money going up, we're watching our money our down and up and down and up. I'm not believing in that anymore. Why? If you look at CNBC, you see Bloomberg. Why is that? Why is the market crashing and why is it going up? It's because they're moving their money. See, they're not believing it's risk on or risk off.
Mhm.
We have to feel the same way. So if we're at a good level in our investment, and now like right now everything is up, it's moving up, it's a bull market. We're heading up. There's going to be a point where there's always phases in the market, right? There'll
Yep.
be a phase of reversal. It'll be a while where it starts retracing. So what should we do? What everyone else is doing. Let's get out at the top, and then when it rips back down again, we have that money. We have it in cash. We can do whatever. We can move it to bonds. We can wait for it to go back down and then get back in lower again, and then do it over again. So it's
Yep.
kind of like, at least my way of seeing it is, you might not see it like in an investment, right? Because it's long. Everyone, if you look at it in the long term, you say, okay, at some point it's going to go back up again. Fine, but I think that you can actually do that. We can be months, a year, riding it for a bit, and then when we see the market really turning, we can get out and just like start over again. And it's still investing because we're investing in this business just like everyone else's. But then at some point, they're getting out because of the way the market's moving, right? So they get out again, or just keep on or move that stop loss, to a monthly, candle, the next month below it or something like that. That last pivot, maybe, that we have the indicator that has the pivot points. Pivot points on a longer time frame is great because that was the last time price reacted at some point, right? So if you're looking at a monthly chart or weekly chart and you
Mhm.
find a pivot point where market ripped, that's a great place to put your stop loss.
Exactly.
The last pivot, where the last time the market really the price took off again, because
Yep.
that's an area where investors came in, money came in and took the price up and left imbalance there. So at
Yep.
some point, maybe if it's going to come back down, maybe we'll use that as the stop loss. So I think
Exactly.
that's another great pivot points in your charts. Look at your monthly charts, or maybe even weekly, or I would say monthly, and then find a pivot point, an area where price really took off, and then that's a daily chart, right? So yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So you can find areas where it really took off, and then there put your stop loss there, just in case, especially if you're in profit already, you're green 20-30% or up or something like that. That's a great place. You want to stay green. It's like you say,
Yep.
and I believe in that a lot. Don't go red.
Yep.
Don't go red, especially if you're green and you've been green for a bit. There's no reason to go red. Now, if you're starting your trade and you have a stop loss underneath, just because you're protecting it, if it goes red, that's fine. But you took off, you're already up 10% or something. You should not go red.
Yep.
You should start,
Exactly.
taking that up 10%, another 10%, whatever, however you want to do it. But
Yep.
percentage wise, or those major areas of like pivots in the market that you might find in that chart.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly, and that's a really good point too. So something that came to mind, Rob, as we were talking about, because I bet you someone is watching this and then they're gonna say, "Oh, well, of course. Why would you pick this level and say, oh, Tesla is at the bottom, right?" So, well, I mean, so again, these are daily candles, right? If I'm looking for an investment in Tesla, I'm looking for a swing play in Tesla, right? Well, again, we use this expression quite a lot. In order for something to go up, it has to stop going down, right? So if I'm watching these candles, what do you see? We're going straight to the abyss. Should I be touching Tesla? I know Tesla is a great company. It's a great investment. I like it. For a long-term play or a swing play, it really doesn't matter. But if I'm seeing these candles give me consistent high, lower highs and lower highs and lower lows and lower highs and lower lows, I mean, maybe I don't want to touch this because I mean, like we're selling off and we're trending down. The sentiment is bearish. There's no need for me to touch that. But then at some point we get to the bottom where it's like, oh wow, okay, it seems like we keep wanting to close these candles here for 2 weeks. What's going on here? Maybe this is when you say, you know what, I'm gonna try Tesla at this position. This is when it becomes a potential swing or it becomes an investment, right? You can say, you know what, I'm gonna take that position there, and I will simply make sure that we close no candles below this level, right? So again, you can look at a company like Tesla and you can say, "Yep, I like the company. I'm just looking for that technical spot that gives me the that edge to say I want to buy at that point, right?" And this would be a great area. So now the question becomes, like into our next segment, right? So how do you take a play into Tesla and then potentially hold this for long term or for potential swing, right? So if I was in this play, let's say I got into this play at the bottom, right? So right? And I'm looking for a swing play. What I would like to see here for now is obviously step number one is it's a swing play, right? I want to make sure that these candles keep closing above the bottom, right? If we're consistently closing above the bottom, I'm completely happy with it. Even if I'm holding it for 2 weeks, I'm happy with it. If I add an indicator, maybe if I add the indicator to this,
I was
Rob,
just gonna say that.
we,
I was
we
just,
might see we might see a demand zone, which is brilliant, right? So if I turn the indicator on, right? So and then I'm going to turn it back off, right? So and it's for some reason it's giving me an error. It said study error, which is
that's
a
another one. That's the other one. That's not ours.
oh yeah, that's true actually. See, let me turn that off. I think I might be the there we go. Beautiful, right? So, I'm looking at a stock that I'm potentially looking for a swing on, or I'm looking for an investment in, right? I can see that the candles are consolidating. At the same time, I can see that we're in a demand zone, right? So, if you're not sure what a demand zone is, there's a video somewhere that we've done in the community that is recorded and also on the channel. Or if you're a member of the community, you get to, understand what the demand zone is. Robert has done a great job with that. So if I turn off the indicator, so let's say I'm in Tesla as a swing play. Alrighty, so I'm in Tesla, it's a swing play. Again, step number one is I want to make sure that we are holding this demand zone. As long as we stay above that level, I'm okay with it. Right. So the next thing I would like to see now is I'd like to see these candles consistently give me new highs. right? This is one of those scenarios where like it's a perfect world example. We found a chart that looks nice, and it's because we have to, right? So we don't want to look at the choppiness anyways, right? So if I'm in Tesla, what I will do with this play is, again, number one is my stop loss goes somewhere at the bottom, right? Or I simply just watch the daily candles, and I make sure we don't close below the bottom, right? So now as we get this initial push candle, right? What I want to do in this scenario now is I want to say, you know what? We had a really amazing day for Tesla. That's a beautiful bounce. I want to make sure that we do not get, again, I might just watch the candles, or I might just set a stop loss, which you should set a stop loss. What I would do is I would set a stop loss at the bottom of this candle, right? The opening price of the previous candle is, as we'll get, as the new candle is opening, you're looking for the bottom of the last candle. Alrighty. As you're getting a brand new candle, you're now saying, you know what? I'm going to set my stop loss at the bottom of this candle, right? As we get a new push, you say, you know what? I'm going to set my stop loss at the bottom of this candle. Eventually, that will hit, right? I bet you the reason why we're hitting this stop loss at this point is because if you look to the left hand side, again, look left, look left, look left. If you look to the left hand side, you're going to notice that we have a little bit of resistance right there, right? The last time we pushed up like that, we struggled in this zone. As we're going up again, we're struggling in the same zone. So then that becomes a problem. You could either sell there because you see resistance, or you could just keep moving the stop loss up and hoping that we break above this zone, right? So now this becomes a potential breakout, right? Tesla is technically still at the bottom ish. So if I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, you know what? This is resistance. That's resistance. Yes, my stop loss hit on this candle. What should I do if Tesla is breaking above that resistance, guys? I will buy Tesla again, right? We're breaking above resistance. It's a long term play, it's a swing, right? We broke out. I will buy that candle and I will immediately set that stop loss at the bottom again. As we get a brand new candle, I will set the stop loss at the bottom of that candle and the bottom of this candle. As this candle opens the next day, and this is the beautiful thing with swinging the large cap names, is you don't have to pay attention to this. You don't have to watch Tesla the entire day, right? You don't have to be paying attention and say, oh my goodness, what price is Tesla at, right? You can simply go to work, and at the end of the day, right, you can come back and say, you know what, this was an amazing day. What am I going to do? I'm going to set the stop loss at the bottom of today's candle, right? So when you come back the following day, right, and Tesla has had another amazing day, you can simply set that stop loss at the bottom of that candle, right? And another amazing day, you come back at the end of the day and you set the stop loss at the bottom of this candle. Another green day, stop loss. Another beautiful green day, stop loss, right? So you're setting the stop loss at the bottom of the candles, and Tesla is consistently giving you those highs. So you can see how like it's been almost a week and Tesla is just pumping, right? And it's consistently giving you highs, right? It's Friday nights. I'm about to go party, but first of all, let me go check Tesla really quickly because I need to set my stop loss at the bottom of today's price, right? It's Monday morning. I had a really great weekend, right? I come back on Monday night, right? And brand new stop loss. New day, brand new stop loss. New day, brand new stop loss. It's been 3 weeks almost, and Tesla is still pumping. And eventually, your stop loss hits with this candle right there. Your stop loss hits, right? But you've been riding Tesla for quite some time, and eventually Tesla finds resistance at your exit almost and goes down, right? So that's how I would play with some of these mid cap, smaller cap, or even large cap swings. Rob, how would you play some of these swing plays?
So I think the key what you were saying, if you go back down and
Mhm,
this leg up, it stopped you out two and one at the top, right? Three times.
mhm,
Oh, what? But it stopped us out green.
mhm,
See what I'm saying? It
mhm.
stopped us out at almost the top of the profit. You know, at the highest peak of your profit, right? Because
Yep.
it opened up at the next candle, then it went down, but literally at the candle before the last the bottom of the last candle, right? The yesterday's candle. So
Mhm,
basically that was your profit. That was the top of your profit target, or your profit, sorry. It stops you there. You were stopped at the top. You keep getting profit. You see, that's the key here. We're on our way up. Now, if you believe in it, if you believe in this and you want to stay a little longer, you could probably put a trading stop maybe and just let it pull it up. It's pulling
yep,
you up, right? It's gonna keep continue moving up because you see there's a strength in the trend, right? There's a strength in the trend. It's a Tesla, so Here we're seeing a chart, but we're also seeing the business, the company. We
Yep.
know it's strong. We don't know what's happening at the moment. News probably came out. Tesla now is delivering new cars, all these things. So all this good news. So it's part of it, right? It's part of this trade. And like you said, but I think the key here in this strategy, and I agree 100%, is that we're taking it up all the time, and we're literally taking the top of the profit. Like we're not letting it go down, and killing our profit a
Yep.
day, 2 days of profit. You see what I'm saying? It's we're up, and we keep up and we keep going up. So it's great. And then if like we saw there, it's a strong trend. It stopped us. We see where the end of that candle ended, right? The candle ended that day down red, but then the next day it opens up green. So now it's a strong. It's again the strength. The trend is proving to be strong. That was
Mhm.
just some people taking profits, and then you get back in definitely, and you write it up. And we're talking about now a swing scenario. So you're
Yep.
swinging this like literally every day. This is a day trade, almost like a swing trade or a day trade. That
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of people make really good money day trading large caps doing that. Like literally finding out where it's opening the next day. If the next candle opens, so
Mm.
usually a great way to get back in, Blaze, is, and I'm gonna try to do it with my hands. So
Yeah.
this is the candle, right? The bottom of yesterday's candle, and the next day opens, and that daily candle opens, and you see it open, it's always going to retrace a bit, right? It retraces a bit, and then it starts coming back up, right? That retracement down, and then when you start going back, heading back up, there you get in. You buy
Exactly.
at the bottom of that retracement of the day of the daily candle, and then you just write it up again. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because it's so that's a really, you would have to like go in there every day in the morning maybe and manage that trade. But if you're swing trading or day trading, you're doing it anyway. So this is not, we're talking about the scenario where we're swing day trade. So that's great. I think
Mhm.
that's a great. I wouldn't change anything about it, because my key, and I've taught this before in our lives, get out at the top. Don't wait for that thing to retrace a lot. Get out at the top, and then you regroup again. You
Yep.
see what I'm saying? The same way, if you're about to lose, you're losing, get out, cut your losses. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? I think
Yep.
today somebody put Lynn put up a oh, you actually posted it too, I think. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
I spoke specifically about, let me go in there real quick.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. And while Rob is pulling that up, Rob brings up a really good point, in terms of, like, because the times where people will ask that, hey, Tesla has been pumping for 2 days already. I want to buy Tesla. I want to buy calls. Like, what the hell do I do? It's been pumping already. Like, I don't see a good entry, right? And that point Rob makes is, if I'm watching a stock, right? If I'm watching Tesla and Tesla had an amazing day like this. So, for example, look at this candle, right? Amazing, amazing day. If you're wondering when Tesla is going to break out for you to look for more calls, well, when Tesla is dipping and it's destroying the close of this last candle, and it's giving you brand new highs, that's a clear message that it wants to go higher, right? So you could use that strategy, and yeah.
Yeah. And so what I was going to say was, they show the 10 essential trading rules of professional traders, right? And number 7 says, trade what you see, not
Yep.
what you think.
Mhm.
You see? So we're not here to, that's hope. That's
Mhm.
basically hope. Hope will destroy you in the market.
Yep.
You
Absolutely.
trade what you see in front of you. Not so
Exactly.
your plan was one thing, but the chart is telling you another thing. So then you trade that.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So you
Yes.
see it, you have it, you get stopped out, you start over again. You're trading what you see. You're not trading that you're hoping that this thing is going to continue to go up. We're
Yep.
putting us up. Oh yeah, well, your rules, Blazing Robert, are kind of like off, because it's stopping us a lot on the way up. It doesn't matter, but you're stopping green,
Yep.
and then you regroup again and you keep going. If you believe in the trend and in the trade, you get back in again.
Exactly.
Especially if you're swinging this, and that's a great swing there, because you're like every day. It's like you're profitable. You're profitable every
Exactly.
day. There,
Exactly.
you wrote it all the way up. Like you could literally do this in real time. You know, you can
Yep.
do it just by trading the daily candles. Definitely, I love this, because
Exactly.
people can see that also the daily candles you can trade.
Yeah. absolutely.
So let's
And
talk about
it's
momentum right now. Yeah.
momentum, yes, yeah. So the we try and keep these videos long, but when Rob and I start going, honestly, it becomes 25 minutes, it becomes 30 minutes. Um, so the last segment we're gonna talk about is momentum. You know, this is the crazy, crazy one. These are candles you're watching on the 1 minute, maybe the 3 minute, right? So these ones can be quite volatile, right? So when you're playing with momentum names, something that you really have to understand is there's so many strategies, right? You could be selling a resistance. You could be selling because it's breaking below a moving average, the 9, the 20, the 200 something. You could be selling because, right? So the way that I would play this is I would say when you get into a momentum name, right? So ask yourself this question: am I willing to, when I'm in profits, when I, again, if I buy a stock initially, I have to know why I'm buying that stock. That's always number one. Rob started this with saying planning, right? You have to understand why you're buying it. If I'm buying a stock because it's sitting in the demand zone, I will not let it go below that demand zone. That is my stop loss immediately. If I'm buying because it's holding the blue line, the 9, I would not let it close below, right? So on it, because it's a double bottom, then don't let it go below the double bottom. Because you think there's support at this number, don't let it go below that support, right? So that's step one, right? So understanding your reasoning and then setting a stop loss at that level, right? So again, let's say perfect world, right? I got into this stock at this price. Why? Because I could see that it hit a demand zone and it was trending up, right? And momentum was coming through. So I'm in the stock, right? Now the question you have to ask yourself is, am I going to sell at a specific target, or am I willing to risk some of the gains? Right? Some people, when you look at these names that go up 100%, 200%, 1,000%, like it's hard to know that it's going to go up 1,000%. Right? At some point, you have to say, you know what? I know a stock is going to go up, it's going to come back down. Right? So I'm willing to bet that it's going to go up, it's going to give me a higher low, and then I'm fine, right? So I'm hoping that we can get higher lows and higher lows, and then boom skis to heaven, right? So again, perfect world scenario. Let's say I got into this stock at this price. What am I thinking now? I'm thinking, okay, well, immediately I want to set my stop loss at break even as we go up, right? Break even. I'm guaranteed not to lose anything. So as the stock is holding the 9 EMA and we're pumping and we're pumping and we're pumping and it looks beautiful, doesn't it? Right? As we hit resistance, no, go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay, okay. I thought you said. So as we push like this, right? What you have to understand is, again, like, we've again look to the left hand side. There's a reason why we're failing at this level. I'm not quite sure what the reason is, right? There's a reason, right? There's a little bit of resistance here for some reason. There's a pivot there. So this level becomes a problem. So when we're selling off like this, what I'm trying to do now is, again, I'm hoping that as we go up, we create higher lows. So if this thing explodes, what am I going to do at this point, Rob? I am going to set my stop loss at the bottom of this last dip, right? Because that is my brand new higher low. It's given me a higher low. As the stock explodes and goes for that second wave of the rally, what am I going to do as we rally like this? Again, you could take profits if you want to because you think we're hitting resistance. But if you're willing to risk some of those gains, then you set your stop loss at the bottom of the last dip ski, right? If we're dipping to this area, it's pretty damn close to the other stop loss. But if we're dipping to this area, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to set my stop loss at the bottom of this last dip, right? And then we bounce and we go, we rally again. As we come back down, what am I going to do this time? My stop loss goes to the higher low, right? Last consolidation area. As we go for another rally, what am I going to do? I'm going to set my stop loss a little bit higher again, right? So again, I'm risking some of my gains, but I'm hoping that this stock can crush it. This is something that doesn't always work because at some point your stop loss will hit. But again, like you're trying to, build those principles, like strategies and things like that, should work most of the time, right? So,
Can I say something real quick?
yes, please. Yes.
So we have two scenarios here. You take your profits at the top, like we said, or if you're willing to take to risk some of those profit, which I agree. If you're so this is part of the plan, right? If I'm green and I'm pretty green, I'm gonna probably take some risk because I believe that this is gonna continue higher. So that strategy of a higher high, get moving that stop loss to the higher high, I think is perfect because that's where you get your pivot point, and that's a point where it retraced and it took off again. So what
Mhm.
happens? you don't want price to go below that anymore, because that was price of support at some point. That was a price where price retraced, but then it found support. So literally, if you get to that point again and it breaks, you don't want that. That price is, it's breaking structure there to the
Exactly.
downside. So it goes back to structure again. So
Hmm.
all this comes back again to like what we keep talking about, like learning to read structure. You know what I mean? Even if you're scalping, there's still logic behind these moves. So those higher pivots, if you see that you marked there, that then created a pivot point there,
Yep.
I think that's a great strategy, because you're moving it up there. You're giving yourself room. If you see it dropped a lot that you might be scared, but your last stop loss was at that pivot before that one. So what did it do? It didn't break it. It went up higher. Now you feel great, because you're like, wait a minute, okay, this is going higher, man. This just created a higher high. Like
Hmm.
you just show exactly. Now you now you're you moved your stop loss there, and you're good. Now you feel great. You feel safe. Now it goes back down again. If it doesn't, pops back up again, great. And you're giving yourself room without having to be getting in and out of the trade a lot.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So I think pivot points in this case are very key. Looking at this, that these are like low floats and they move quick. They still respect those pivots. Are pretty nice because it's doing a higher high. So I think that should be part of your plan. That higher high, just move it up, especially if you're green,
Yep.
obviously. If you're pretty green now, if you don't want to be dealing with like taking it up to that high point there where it pivoted at 140 and then it dropped all the way down to like 120 something, 20 cents. If you don't want to see it exactly there, if you don't want to take that drop, then you could take your profit. And then wherever if you saw it created a higher high, you can get back in. See now, right there, it goes down. It creates that you were right there. Let's say you got out at the top, but it created a higher high there. So now that it created a higher high, you could get back in because you know that the trend is continuing.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So there's
Exactly.
so many ways, there. It's respecting there. I think that's that the 50 EMA, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the 50.
Right there. So it's
Yep.
respecting the 50. There's a lot of things that you can let the chart talk to you, and you can put your stop losses there. You can put your stop losses at major areas of EMA. If you see an EMA, if you see prices respecting the EMA, it's dropping below the 9, it's dropping below the 20, it's doing all this, but for some reason the most extended that is going is to the 50, and then it takes off again. That's another great strategy. Then
It
put your
is.
stop at the 50.
Exactly.
Same.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Good.
And like that's a really good point Rob brings up because sometimes people ask me like, why is the stock bouncing off this moving average? And I'm like, well, that's an amazing strategy, and it really doesn't matter why it's bouncing, right?
It's doing
Your
it.
job is to, your job is to look at it and say, oh wow, like
You
it
found
doesn't
the
care
pattern.
what exactly,
The
right?
pattern,
You
yeah.
know, exactly. Like it for some reason it doesn't like the 9, it doesn't like the 20, but it's bouncing off the 50 every time. It's bouncing off the 200 every time. So you know what? Maybe I should set my stop loss below the 200, right? So that's another really good strategy. This is one of those charts, Rob, where like it just if you moved your stop loss again, like Rob said, you could either move your stop loss consistently, and this thing just kept pumping and
Higher
pumping and
highs,
higher
high highs.
lows all the way to the top, Rob, which is impressive, right? Or you could say, you know what, I see a double top at this price, I'm going to sell it. But as Rob said, we're creating a higher high, a higher low. You know what? Let me take a brand new position right there. And if you take a position right there, what are you going to do? You're going to set your stop loss right below.
Yeah, and that's a strategy that traders do now. That's why you see that that's why you see volume come in there,
Mhm.
because they're waiting for a higher high. You see, there's traders, they see a higher high and they get in.
Yep.
Because they know that it's not gonna it create a higher high. Obviously, it's pivoted up to the top, so now we all trade the same.
Mhm.
That's what I keep telling people also. Why does that happen? Because we all are taught to trade the same. So you're creating a higher high. Guess what? The market's going to continue higher, so I'm going to get in. Yeah. So there's so many different strategies there. Actually, going back to the long term, to the longer swing plays, you could also use respect those EMAs,
Yep.
especially on those swing plays. If you see that price is respecting the 20 EMA, the 9 EMA, the I wouldn't say 9, I would say the 20, 50. That's great. Then you found the pattern there. You could also do that on the longer term plays too, on the longer swing plays or investment plays. Like I wouldn't let an investment go below the 200 EMA.
Yep, that's a big one. Yep,
It's 200 EMA, and if you and it's been pumping and it's a long term, it's a daily candle, weekly candle, and it's going below the 200 EMA. It's telling you it's reversing.
yep,
Momentum is reversing in that stock. You see what I'm saying?
exactly,
So that's exactly what I would the 200 you see there, it's
yep,
below the 200 EMA. It just tanked when
exactly,
when all the EMAs cross again.
yep,
You could also use, if you're using our indicator, you could use the kernel crosses, and the kernel
exactly,
crosses are really nice on long term plays. Look at
yep,
where, look at the top there, Blaze. Look at the red circle
yep,
at the top,
exactly,
right there. The red
exactly,
circle, boom.
exactly,
Price after that do on a daily crash. You could
exactly,
literally use that particular yeah, there you go.
yep,
You could take that strategy, and you would have don't even think about it. Let the price, as long as the price stays in between the kernel and the 9 EMA on the daily, you're good to go. Or the
exactly,
20, if you wanna, sorry, the 9, the kernel, or the 20, just to have that like a nicer, bigger cloud, and let price wick in it if you want, whatever. But you just write it down all the time. I love the kernel and the
and
on
then
that,
I,
on longer plays. And I think I'm gonna start doing that. I'm gonna have like a separate little. I'm gonna create like a little separate kind of like what Mark does. I'm gonna do like a little, take out some money separately and just focus on those longer term plays and use just the kernel, like the kernel crosses. Make
mhm,
sure after a day that it really confirmed, and then the candle, if the next candle opens, let's say up, I got a green kernel cross, and the next candle opens up the next day, I'll get
mhm,
in because I know
exactly,
I have a strong trend forming. See what I'm saying? And
exactly,
I write it, and then there I'll start with my stop losses, like you said. I'll move that stop loss up every day.
yep,
So that's
exactly,
another thing. If you guys don't have the indicator, that kernel is basically a machine learning algorithm um, that runs like an EMA, but it's actually adjusting according to the market. So it's using ADX, it's using a lot of different factors in to move your actual line. So it's like what they call it, an EMA on steroids. It's actually adjusting to the market. So based on machine learning, and that's why it respects it so much, and that's why you actually see it when that kernel turns from green to red. It's
yep,
already a sign. Okay, let
yep,
me watch it. You see?
yep.
That's another strategy. If you're in hot trades, you're gonna understand what we're saying.
Yes,
And if you're
yeah.
join,
Yes, yeah, yeah, I think that's a good way to end it. If you're not a part of the community, come join us. We do this, Rob and I do this all the time. So yeah, come join us. I think that's a good spot to end. Again, we planned for 10 minutes, but we go 30 minutes over the plan. We know which is what happens when Rob and I do one of these videos because we just feed and we go. So again, if you enjoyed this, be kind and generous and leave, smash a like, leave a comment. We would really appreciate the comments. Share the link as well. And if you have another topic, again, don't be shy, right? Leave a comment at the bottom for your next topic, and we will most likely do it. Alrighty, so
and liking and sharing helps a lot with the algorithm. So
yep,
we've noticed that we have like our daily videos that you're on, you get thousands of views and it's great. And then these videos get a little less and everyone loves them, but for some reason the algo is not grabbing it. And I think
yep,
it's because we're seeing less, like likes and shares, and it's just because, just people forget they love it and they just keep moving on. I do the same, so but
yeah,
just try to remember to do it because it's gonna help
yeah,
us get the video out there, because of the algo
exactly,
of the
exactly.
YouTube.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that's it for from Rob and I for this video. There's going to be lots more. So again, we appreciate your support, and we will catch you on the next one. We're gonna leave you with that video again. The stop loss video. So don't let this guy be you, please. Don't be the guy that's praying because you don't have a plan. Because you're hoping your stop loss doesn't hit. Don't be this guy. Alrighty. See you next time.